Going to the theatre is a popular pastime. Established in 1923, Playgoers of Lethbridge is one of the oldest continually operating amateur theatre groups in Canada and just celebrated their centennial year. President of the organization, Elaine Jagielski, joins me here to discuss the history of the organization and what we have to look forward to in 2024. Elaine, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is great.
Well, great to have you on here. Happy New Year, and please tell us about all the upcoming plays that the Playgoers of Lethbridge have to look forward to this year.
Well, we're starting off our season in the typical fashion. We always have what we call our major production in February. And it's a Canadian play called Hurry Hard by Kristen De Silva. And it's about curling. And it's kind of a fun little twist regarding couples who were at one time a couple and they all curled together, and then things happened with the relationships. But there's an opportunity to come together again to win a big cup. So all the dynamics of that. So it's a great comedy, and that runs February 7th to 10th at the Sterndale Bennett Theatre. We have our one-act festival coming in April this year, and that will be at the Sterndale Bennett. We don't have the details, all of the details for that, as the types of plays and so on, as submissions don't need to come in until the next couple of months. But that's something to look forward to as well. So we host that annually. And last year for the centennial, we also hosted the provincial one-act festival as well here in Lethbridge. And then in October, we have our dinner theatre. And once again, we don't have a specific for that, but something to look forward to. And we've been doing dinner theaters for years and years, even though sometimes there still are people that attend and go, oh, we had no idea, or after the fact, oh, there's dinner theater. And so hopefully more people come to know that if that's something they want to attend or take in. Always a good time with that. So at this time, that's our slate for this year. It kind of goes back to our regular programming. Last year we had much more going on in because it was the celebration.
Well, dinner theaters are always a lot of fun, and Hurry Hard sounds like a really great production to watch, especially if you're into curling. How do you and your team decide which plays to include in the upcoming season?
Typically, a director, so someone who is interested in directing, comes forward and approaches the club in regard to, I'm interested in doing this. Or we have a couple of artistic directors who then read the play or plays and then gives the go-ahead. Typically, it's a go-ahead as far as somebody's interested in presenting something, and then the process starts from there. So it usually begins with someone coming forward and saying, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do this project. I'm interested in this.
And there's lots of plays out there. So what are the factors that you consider when selecting a play?
Because we're, part of our longevity is that we've tried to do our best to provide entertainment that is not too risque, that is of interest in various ways. So often it is comedy, and because people tend to enjoy that, right? They just want to go out and enjoy themselves and be able to laugh and just sort of release, right? Not have to think about anything too serious. But we do some serious pieces as well, something that may be of interest or impact, more of a conversation piece. So a few years ago, we did Daisy. I think it was in 2019. And I don't know if you're familiar with Daisy. I won't go into the full details of it, but it was the commercial. It was the American commercial about a potential nuclear explosion. And all of the dynamics of that, of the individuals, the marketing company who came up with that, and sort of the politics of the time and those sorts of things. And it was relevant for what was happening as far as what was going on for us at that time globally as well. So there is a variety, but it tends to be something that maybe is a bit more mainstream in some way, sort of within that spectrum of of comedy to something a little more serious and thought provoking.
So we're talking about mainstream themes and more of the comedy genre that will be featured in 2024. How do you anticipate the audience's response to these upcoming plays?
Hopefully, is as it has been, and that is that people will enjoy what we have to offer, and that they they go away feeling good and perhaps discussing whatever it may be, or being able to relate some of those themes or experiences that they've just seen to their own lives, and especially with the Hurry Hard, with it being a curling theme, and also about relationships. And typically, people can relate to that in some way, whether it's happened to them personally or someone they know about.
And it's always interesting to hear how people ended up where they are today. So could you tell us a little bit about your personal journey and how you developed an interest in theater?
I it started really early, and I recall in grade one where I was chosen for the lead angel in the Christmas concert, and it kind of started, and then it went on from there. So every year I was involved in whatever the school play was, and that then just continued. And so I was involved in Lethbridge Musical Theatre as an adult, and of course with Playgoers of Lethbridge. So I started with Playgoers probably about 30 years ago, and have had many opportunities through that group. And so I've done directing and acting and backstage and front of house, and I've written. And so it's great in that way, and hopefully that's an encouragement to other individuals as well, if they're kind of interested in getting involved, but maybe they don't think they have the full skills for it. Or we mentor, we allow those opportunities where a person doesn't have to start everything from the ground up all by themselves, but they can become involved and they've got that support. So there's someone that can say, all right, here's a budget, or we'll try to find some people and to fill these various roles, and so on. Right. So it's a nice supportive atmosphere for individuals who want to become involved or to further their skills, right? Even if they're not a beginner, but they're looking at a project of some kind that they would like to, have produced, then it's a wonderful opportunity in that regard as well.
And how have you seen the theater scene in Lethbridge evolve over the years since you've been involved with it for 30 years?
Yeah. So back in the day, uh, there were there were a handful of groups. So there was Playgoers, there was Lethbridge Musical Theatre. The university was doing things, and that was kind of it. And then from there, it has evolved greatly, as far as there are so many theater groups at this point in time, and so much variety. And so it's really blossomed in that way. There's a lot of opportunities for people as far as patrons. What do they want to view? What do they want to see? So if there is anybody out there going, oh, there's nothing, as far as the theater world is concerned, oh, there's nothing to do, or you just have to look, right? There's websites now. So there's Lethbridge Goings On, for example, that will list a lot of that kind of happening, or even our own website, Playgoers of Lethbridge, will list other groups, as far as what's going on in the city. So it has really evolved with so much variety. And of course, there's the professional theater company New West, as well, and then all the amateur theater groups and the university still. So there's just so much variety and so many different perspectives or genres, if you like, that are being produced, that are being showcased, and so on.
Now, Playgoers of Lethbridge just celebrated their centennial. Can you just share some highlights from the last 100 years of Playgoers of Lethbridge?
Oh gosh, highlights. I've only been involved for a chunk of that. Uh, that's an excellent question. I sort of have to think here for a moment. Well, of course, and of course, I'm biased because it was just last year, but making it to 100, and that was a lot of fun. And being able to put on a festival that invited local talent of whatever kind. So we had musical groups, we had theater, we had improv, we had all kinds of things happening, and it was free to the public. And so that was certainly a highlight, even though it just happened, that we were able to provide that through grants at all levels. So at the municipal level, at the provincial level, and at the federal level, in order to be able to put on something like that for the community. And uh, it's really hard as far as highlights. It's a challenge to pick out something specific. Uh, so I'm stymied. I'm stumped on that question as far as picking out something that one of those things that really stand out, because it seems like every year whatever is done, right? It's always, at least from my perspective, and I think from the group's perspective, it's always kind of amazing as far as what comes together. The people, so the individuals that end up as actors and the person that directs and all of those kinds of things, how they come together. And I suppose one of the things would be recently one of the longtime members, one of the pillars of Playgoers of Lethbridge, Ed Bailey, who was often referred to as, sort of Mr. Lethbridge. And he had been involved in a number of the theater groups and was very influential over the years in regard to the direction of especially Playgoers, but also Lethbridge Musical Theater. And he had written a melodrama called Priscilla Pringle's Predicament. And so that was always sort of a fun thing whenever that was being produced, whenever there was a decision to do that for some event or occasion, because it was always, well, who's going to play the dog, or who's going to play Priscilla, and so it was just sort of this fun involvement, right, in this sort of really kooky piece, right, the melodrama.
And how do you engage with the Lethbridge community and encourage participation in theater?
So we do our best to, first of all, to promote what's out there. So, come and watch, and also for people to get involved in whatever way possible. So volunteering, because one of the things with being an amateur theater group is all our positions are volunteer. And so it does end up being a lot of hours potentially, depending on the position a person takes. And so we have a sort of, for the members, so we have a membership, and we've been a club all these years, and so they have the opportunity, the information goes to them, they have opportunities to become involved, whether it's for a social event, whether it's to become involved in a play in some way, or sometimes we have outings, right? Well, we'll go to another community and watch their plays, which again sort of falls under the social event aspect, but a field trip version. And then, of course, online. So through our Facebook page, Instagram, and on some of the other sites as well, where it will be posted. Here's an opportunity to, for a play that's coming up, or actors needed, or crew is needed. So a stage manager or a props person, or those kinds of things. And so hopefully getting people involved. Another way also is through the One Act Festival. And even though we're the hosts of it, and so other groups can showcase their plays and so on, it's an interesting opportunity because it's such a range of what people can bring forward. And it's a great way to begin directing, because it's a one act. So for individuals that are interested in getting into that aspect of it, it's a wonderful event to start, right? Find a one act play and then put that together. And again, if they go through Playgoers, then they can have that assistance, that support, as far as, well, how do you do that?
And for someone who's on the fence about, do I want to get involved in theater? Do I not? Can you just share some insights into the challenges and rewards of being involved in community theater?
Well, there was just recently one of the members of Playgoers through TELUS Story Hive, did a little documentary And it was sort of a tongue-in-cheek, but there was a serious element to it as well. It was referred to as lifers. So if anybody has an opportunity to see it, it's on Telus Optic, or I think it will be coming up because it was just this past year. And it tells it well. So there were interviews with individuals that have been involved in community theater for a long, long time. Some were a little bit newer. And some of the themes that came up that were important to people were a sense of community. So where they're kind of a family to some extent, and feeling that support. Also, for some people, which surprised Alan Gibson, the producer of it, was that it helped them through hard times. Excuse me. So there were individuals that were going through something at a period in their life, decided, yeah, I'll do this, and it really helped them through. So it was a really positive mental health experience. And they didn't even always know that was going to be the outcome, that it was going to help them through whatever it was they were going through. And then for many individuals, it was that sense of accomplishment and feeling, there's something about when people are clapping, or because of something that you've just presented, or they're laughing because you've delivered a line in a certain way. And it's just a sort of a personal, it just feels good. It's like, oh yeah, that sort of a sense of satisfaction or fulfillment, accomplishment. And so those were some of the main things that tended to come up. There were other things, but those were some of the main ones.
Elaine Jagielski is the president of Playgoers of Lethbridge, one of the oldest continually operating amateur theatre groups in Canada. Elaine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Naveen.
I'm Naveen Day on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.